You don't see it coming. That's the thing nobody warns you about. You don't wake up one morning and think, today I'm going to figure out that the people I love most are the reason I'm broke. It doesn't arrive like a revelation. It arrives like a receipt you find in your coat pocket from 6 months ago. Small, crumpled, and suddenly explaining something you couldn't explain before. It starts with a dinner. It always starts with a dinner. The restaurant is the kind of place that doesn't have prices on the menu near the door. The kind of place where the lighting is warm and low and everyone looks slightly more successful than they probably are. Your friend Jake picked it. Jake always picks the restaurant. Jake has a way of saying, I know this great place, that makes it impossible to say anything except sounds good. So you say sounds good and you put on the shirt that doesn't have a wrinkle in it, and you show up at 7:30 on a Friday night and you smile when you see them. There are 6 of you at the table. People you've known for years. People you went to college with, grew up with, shared apartments with in your early 20s when none of you had anything. People who know your middle name and your worst decision and the story you've told so many times it stopped being embarrassing. These are your people. That's what you tell yourself when the menus arrive and you scan the right side of the page and feel the number land somewhere in your chest like a small cold stone. Entrees start at $34. You do the math without meaning to. 6 people. Entree, drinks, because there will be drinks, there are always drinks. Appetizers, because someone will suggest appetizers. Dessert, because it's someone's something. A promotion, a birthday, a reason that will make saying no to dessert feel like saying no to the occasion itself. Your mental calculator runs the numbers and arrives at a figure somewhere between $80 and $110 for your portion of the evening. You had $214 left until payday. You don't say that. Nobody says that. That's not how these dinners work. These dinners work on a shared, unspoken agreement that everyone is fine, that everyone can handle it, that the number on the right side of the menu is not something anyone needs to discuss because discussing it would break something fragile and unnamed that holds the whole evening together. So you order the salmon. Jake orders a bottle of wine for the table. You drink 2 glasses because it's already open, and it would be strange not to. Someone orders truffle fries as a starter. You eat 3 of them. The conversation is good. It's always good. This is why you come. This is why you keep coming. And somewhere between the main course and the dessert menu, you feel yourself relax into the familiar warmth of people who have known you long enough that you don't have to perform anything. The bill arrives. Someone does the math. It comes out to $94 each, including tip. You put your card on the table. You smile. You say it was a great night because it was. You mean it. You check your balance in the Uber home. $112 left until Friday. You tell yourself it's fine. You tell yourself you'll be more careful next week. You've been telling yourself that for 14 months. The problem with your friends isn't that they're careless. The problem isn't that they're rich and don't realize it, or that they're trying to show off, or that they have bad intentions. The problem is simpler and harder than any of that. The problem is that they have normalized a level of spending that you cannot sustain, and because you love them, because you want to belong to the group, because opting out feels like opting out of something more than just a dinner. You have been quietly, consistently, month after month, spending money you do not have to maintain a life that is not actually yours. You don't figure this out all at once. You figure it out in pieces, the way you figure out most true things. The first piece arrives on a Tuesday in March when you're trying to move $200 into your savings account and the transfer fails. Not because the account is empty, there's $67 in there, but because $67 minus $200 is a number the bank won't process. You stare at the notification on your phone for a long moment. You've been employed for 3 years. You have a salary that, when you tell people what it is, they nod and say, that's solid. And you have $67 in your checking account on a Tuesday in March with 11 days until payday. You sit with that for a while, not panicking. Panic would require you to believe this is a crisis, and you've been managing it as though it's just how things are. You sit with it the way you sit with a noise your car has been making for 6 months that you've been meaning to get checked, knowing it's there, choosing not to look directly at it, but on this Tuesday you look directly at it. You open your banking app and go to the transaction history. You scroll back 90 days and you start reading. Not skimming, reading. Every line, every merchant, every amount. What you find takes your breath away a little, not because any single transaction is shocking, but because of the pattern. The pattern is so clear, so consistent, So completely invisible until this moment that you feel slightly stupid for not seeing it before. And the pattern is this: your money doesn't disappear in large, dramatic moments, it disappears in small, social ones. Dinners, drinks, the Uber to the bar because it's too far to walk and everyone's going, the concert tickets because Marcus got a group deal and it would be weird to be the only one not there. The weekend trip in October that you said yes to in August when October felt far away and the group excitement was infectious and the cost seemed manageable when you divided it into 4 months of saving that you then didn't actually do. The birthday dinner for someone you see 3 times a year but whose birthday has become a group event that costs $60 minimum by the time you add the card and the gift and the drinks before and the Uber after. None of it was mandatory. All of it felt mandatory. You added up 90 days. The number at the bottom of your calculation is $2,340. You make $52,000 a year. After tax, roughly $3,400 a month. You spent $2,340 in 90 days, $780 a month on social spending alone. That's nearly a quarter of your take-home income. On dinners and drinks and trips and occasions with people you love, yes, but still, a quarter. Gone into evenings that are already forgotten by everyone except your bank account, which remembers everything. You put your phone down, you look at the ceiling for a while, then you pick your phone back up and you do the calculation you've been avoiding. If you had put that $780 a month into a savings account for the last 3 years, not invested it, not done anything clever with it, just moved it to a separate account and left it alone, you would have $28,080 right now instead of $67. You sit with that number for a long time. The second piece arrives a few weeks later, and this one is harder because it has a face. You and your friend Priya have known each other since sophomore year of college. She's one of the good ones, the kind of friend who checks in without being asked, who remembers the things you told her once and brings them up 6 months later because she was still thinking about you. You trust her in the way you only trust people you've survived things with. Priya got a promotion in January. A significant one, new title, new salary, the kind of jump that changes the category you're in. You were genuinely happy for her. You still are. But something shifted after the promotion that neither of you has named, and it's this. Priya's baseline moved. The restaurants got nicer. The suggestions got more expensive. The weekend plans started involving hotels instead of someone's cousin's couch. None of it was said out loud. It just happened, the way these things happen. Gradually, then suddenly, and by the time you notice you're already somewhere you can't afford to be. Last month, she suggested a weekend in a city 4 hours away. Nice hotel, nice dinners, a spa thing on Sunday morning. She found a deal, she said. $340 for the weekend, not including food. It'll be so good for us, she said, and she meant it, and she was right. It probably would have been. You said you'd think about it. You thought about it for 4 days, running the real number, hotel, food, travel, the things that always get added, and landing somewhere around $600 for a weekend. You said you couldn't make it work this time. She said she understood, but something sat in the silence after that exchange, something unspoken and uncomfortable, and you've been carrying it since. Not because Priya did anything wrong, because you did something that felt wrong even though it was right. You told the truth about what you could afford, and the truth created a distance you didn't know how to cross. This is the thing nobody tells you about money and friendship. The damage isn't dramatic. It doesn't happen in a fight or a betrayal. It happens in the gap between what you can say and what you actually feel, in the small accumulated weight of going along and going along and going along until you can't anymore, and then the sudden disorienting experience of stopping. You start making changes quietly, not dramatically. You've learned by now that dramatic financial decisions made in moments of clarity don't stick the way slow, boring, consistent ones do. You start with the group chat, not leaving it. You're not ready for that, and you're not sure it's even the right move, but changing how you respond to it. You stop saying I'm in within the first hour of a plan being proposed. You give yourself 48 hours. In those 48 hours, you open your banking app, check the actual number, do the actual math, and make a decision based on reality rather than enthusiasm. The first time you say no to a dinner, it feels enormous. You type the message 3 times before sending it. Can't make this one, have fun. That's all, 9 words. You send it and put your phone face down and wait for the fallout that doesn't come. Jake sends a thumbs up. Someone sends a sad face emoji. The plan continues without you. The world does not end. The second no is easier, the third one easier still. What you're learning, slowly, imperfectly, with setbacks, is that your presence in your own financial life has been almost completely absent. You've been a passenger in a car driven by other people's plans, other people's appetites, other people's comfortable assumptions about what everyone can afford. And you've been paying for the ride without ever once putting your hands on the wheel. You start tracking every dollar. Not obsessively, you tried obsessive once and it lasted 11 days before you gave up, but consistently. A simple note on your phone. Every transaction, every day takes 30 seconds. At the end of the week, you look at the total and you feel something you didn't expect to feel. Not shame, not pride, just information. Clean, clear, usable information about your own life. By the end of the first month, you've spent $340 less than the month before. You move $200 of that into savings. The transfer goes through. You stare at the confirmation for a moment longer than necessary. It's not $28,080. It's $200, but it went through on a Tuesday, and that's different from every Tuesday before it. The hardest conversation happens on a Saturday afternoon in May. You and Jake are getting coffee, just coffee, the normal kind, the kind that costs $6 and lasts an hour. And he brings up the summer trip. Every year for the past 4 years, the group has done a summer trip. It's become a thing, capital T, a tradition that carries the weight of shared history and the unspoken understanding that opting out means opting out of something bigger than a vacation. This year it's a week in Portugal. Jake has been researching it for 2 months. He's found flights. He's found an Airbnb that splits 8 ways to something almost reasonable. He's built a whole itinerary with the particular enthusiasm of someone who loves planning and can afford what he's planning. The number, when he shows you, is $1,400. And that's conservative, he says, meaning it could be more. You hold your coffee cup and you look at your friend, your genuinely good friend who has never once tried to make you feel small, and you say something you have never said to him in all the years you've known each other. I can't do it this year, not because I don't want to, because I'm trying to change something about how I've been handling money, and this doesn't fit where I'm trying to go. The silence that follows is 3 seconds long and feels like a minute. Then Jake says, "Yeah, okay, I get that." And that's it. That's the whole thing. No argument, no pressure, no moment where the friendship cracked. Just a truth offered and received and set aside, the way adults handle things when they're actually paying attention. You drive home with the windows down. The summer air is warm and smells like cut grass and someone's barbecue somewhere. You feel lighter than you have in a long time, not because you said no to Portugal, but because you said yes to something else. Something quieter and less glamorous and entirely yours. 6 months later, you open your banking app on a Tuesday morning. The balance isn't life-changing. It's not the number that appears in articles about financial independence or the figure that makes people nod slowly with respect. It's $4,200 in a savings account with a boring name, built from 6 months of smaller dinners and honest no's and 48-hour pauses before saying yes to things you used to agree to before you'd even checked. $4,200 is not a destination. It's a direction. And for the first time in as long as you can remember, you know which way you're going. The friendships are still there. Jake is still Jake. Priya still checks in. The group chat still fires up on Friday afternoons with plans and suggestions and the particular energy of people who like each other and want to be together. You still go sometimes. You still say yes to the things that matter and that fit, and the things that don't fit, you decline without apology and without the performance of guilt that used to cost almost as much as the dinner itself. What changed isn't who you spend time with. What changed is who's making the decisions. For the first time, that person is you. And it turns out that's worth more than any dinner you've ever eaten.